In her tabling of the Public Finance Management Act, also known as the PFMA, National, Provincial and Public Corporation Audit Outcomes, Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke noted that the audit outcomes of state-owned enterprises had in fact worsened on previous years. She reported that 7 SOEs had not filed their financial and performance records with the AG's office for the 2020-2021 financial year. These included Denel, the Independent Development Trust, Land Bank, South African Airways, South African Express Airways, the South African Post Office, and the Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority. The International Monetary Fund also recently highlighted continued weaknesses in state-owned entities. This is proving to be a blight on the economy, the state, and the taxpayer. One economist says a history of appointments of political deployees and people who are not necessarily fit for the purpose of running SOEs have characterized the demise of these enterprises, and says an inability to track the broader trends in the global economy has also been a problem.
Over the past 20 years, the nature of the economy and economic structure has changed. The role of SOEs have changed. Technology has disrupted everything, including how we communicate, how we generate electricity, how we deliver electricity, how we monitor a whole lot of things that SOEs used to do.
With the failure seen at a number of state-owned enterprises, public-private partnerships are being advocated as a way forward for state-owned enterprises to be rejuvenated or outright privatization in certain circumstances.
I think the other thing is that they're probably going to need to figure out what parts of the SOEs can be handled by the private sector and then change the structure of the SOEs. So, for example, you can have just transmission lines in the government hands, or you can have just the rail in the government hands and the ports, and then the operating of trains and ports and so on can be left to the private sector, because clearly we don't have enough money to fix everything.
Looking at arms manufacturer Denel, for example, some argue that its continued existence under the current circumstances is untenable.
We also need to say, all right, if we can't pay the salaries of Denel, then let's close it. Or let's give it away to somebody who can make something happen, because clearly there's no value there. And it needs to be done in a transparent and manner, and it needs to be done in a competitive manner.
Interestingly enough, Denel was once an innovative giant in its field globally, but performance can quickly change when the wrong people are placed at the helm of an organization and governance structures are undermined.
Denel has global inventions and products that are up to today as we speak. They are unmatched. Coming from the so-called bottom end of Africa, but they were run by a team who were visionary, who were proud engineers, who designed all kinds of, unfortunately, warfare equipment, but their capability, that was their mandate, and so on and so forth. So is it easy? If you have the right people with the right mandate, openly, transparently monitored and governed, it is easy.
The SOE problem is among many that have been highlighted by key ratings agencies, which continue to rate the country at junk and sub-junk status. Other factors include a perceived slow turnaround in structural reforms to help spur economic growth, as well as the state's high debt burden, among others. It's felt that if there aren't serious strides made to deal with these issues, markets will continue to expect a higher premium for dealing with South Africa.
If we don't see improvements at the state-owned entity, if we don't start to see active, tangible steps forward, financial markets are going to become price our securities more aggressively. The risk premium around owning South African stocks, investing in South African businesses, lending money to state-owned entities directly, or lending money to anyone that wants to complete a project in South Africa is going to become more expensive. That then will stifle economic growth. It's going to have real-world impact.
Given the need to adapt to modern economies in the 21st century, there's an argument that state-owned enterprises need a totally new mandate for their existence today, to be relevant to the economy that they're playing in and to receive input from their ultimate customers, namely the private sector, on the structure of their offering.
And in my humble view, three things have to happen. There got to be an ideological shift within the cabinet, within the political structures of the government particularly, and broader society, that SOEs are not going to be helpful if we keep them the old way. We have to reinvent them, repurpose them, and restructure their mandate, not their board, their mandate. What is the role of Transnet? What is the role of ESCOM? And what is not? The second factor that we need to put in is having repurposed or redefined their mandate for the modern economy for the next 30, 40 years, we need to say, what are the type of skills? Who is fit to run these organizations? Who are fit to govern, in other words, board of memberships from a governance point of view?
Delivering his midterm budget speech in November, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana noted that since 2013, the government had directed some 290 billion rand to bailing out state-owned companies. He highlighted state capture as having been instrumental in weakening a number of SOEs and indicated that there would be a move to consolidate SOEs, bearing in mind that there are over 700 of them, and that there was no plan to make further funding available for bailouts over the medium term. Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.